Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I've got a question, and I've also got a response to one of the comments that was left on one of the videos. So we'll go to the question, I'll go to the response, and we'll have our little chat here. But the question is basically, hey Perch, thanks for the videos, I appreciate the channel. What makes a good joke in comics? It feels like a lot of the comics are written where the writers are clearly trying to tell a joke or have some humor, but it is not a funny joke, or it seems to be only a joke to the writer. Case in point, there was an issue of Spider-Man, it's actually Spider-Gwen, it was an annual, where they made MODOK look like Trump. And they made some jokes about like Trump slogans coming from MODOK. And I'm sure this was hilarious to the writer and maybe the artist, but it wasn't a funny joke. Not only did it irritate potential customers, but it wasn't even a successful joke. Yeah, okay. What do you think of that? Where should people tell jokes? What do you think of this? Okay. For the record, by the way, I think that humor has a long history in comics. I like humor, whether it goes to what the or crack or crazy or some of these these comics. I think humor has a place in comics, and I think when done well is very funny. And I also think that political humor is not a terrible thing. I think that you can certainly do political humor, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I do think that the challenge is the whole world is so polarized around this stuff that you do a joke like Trump is MODOK, and people don't appreciate that joke, and I get it, right? I get why they're unfortunately we're all so bent up about Trump or hate Trump or love Trump or whatever it happens to be that you can no longer make these jokes. But the challenge with that is you should be able to make these jokes. I do think you should be able to. I think that having a former, or I guess he was the president during that time, as MODOK, I don't think that's a particularly funny joke. But I don't think it's not funny because I'm sensitive to Trump. I did not, as people who are listen to this channel know, I didn't like Trump. I didn't think he was a particularly good leader. But regardless, I think dressing up of a MODOK, that feels, I don't really see the joke there. I mean, it's like, oh look, it's Trump's head on MODOK. I mean, okay, that's the problem. I don't find that particularly funny. Not because I want to protect Trump's honor, but because I don't think it's particularly funny. So I do think a lot of the humor is just it's not good. I think, by the way, I think it's hard to be funny. I think that a lot of people try and have a good kind of comedy bent to their show and to everything else, but it's just not. Humor is not for everyone. Humor is not simple to write, and I think in many cases, if you're very angry about something, a lot of people will try to do humor. If you've ever been on Twitter and you just look through people's attempts at memes, most of them are not funny. Most of them just come across like this person is angry about whatever political candidate they like that that isn't winning, or I mean it just it's not good. It's not good humor. So this leads me to one of the comments that was made on the my video about the Pocahontas issue of Conan and how some people we got crazy. And during the video, I made a joke about that we're talking about Elizabeth Warren here, and it really pissed some guy off. Pissed some guy off enough that he felt the need to write after the Pocahontas video. I don't know if it's Texas or whatever, but I'm done. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm gone. Unsubscribe. I'm gone. And I read that. I'm like, well, first of all, if the channel's irritating you at that level, then I would be the first to tell you you should go. I haven't done this, but every now and then when people post comments like this channel is really making me mad, I get really heated about this. I see people saying things like this, and I think to myself, I could just delete you from the channel, and I would be doing you a favor, right? I'm not. Again, I haven't done this because I think ultimately, you're grown adults. You should be able to do what you want. But I think to myself, like, if you're really upset, like, let me help you out the door. I'm not saying the don't like my politics, don't buy my book. I'm saying, for God's sake, this is a stupid YouTube channel. If something is really irritating you, please, go seek help. Go elsewhere. Don't seek help. Just go. Just go to something that makes you happy. Like, go to one of those channels where, like, a girl in a low cut top is slowly running her finger along a brush. What the ASMR video? Like, go for something like that. Calm yourself down. That's what I think you should do. But regardless, your own life. But I was hung up, so I thought like, was the Elizabeth Warren comment that offensive? It was a dumb joke. It was like a joke that like a Norm Macdonald would make, or somebody like that. Except not, because Norm Macdonald would make a much better joke. And then I got to thinking, is Pocahontas, and then it dawned on me. It's like, oh, that's what a lot of right wingers would call Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. I think I heard that somewhere. And maybe that's what's stuck in my head. I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of right wing radio or shows, but maybe that's what it is. So then I thought, all right, you know what I need to do? I'm going to go on this channel and I'm going to be fair. So I need to be fair. So here we go. I insulted a Democrat senator. So now, I have moved to Texas, but fair is fair. I can insult the senator from my state. I think Ted Cruz is a big, giant dumbass. I think he's a bumbling fool. And whatever. What joke do I put? I just the guy is an incompetent moron. That's what I think. So there you go, person who was offended by the Elizabeth Warren joke. I have just called Ted Cruz an idiot, so somebody on that side can deselect from the channel, and the world is back in order. How's that? I actually do. I don't think much of Elizabeth Warren, primarily because I don't trust people who argue about giving tax cuts and looking out for the lower man, but then seem to have hoarded a massive amount of wealth themselves. That's just me. That's just kind of how I am. I also don't like Ted Cruz because I think somebody who fights for a leader of the people and then turns around and goes ahead and goes on vacation. I understand he had a vacation planned, but all the same, I've been a manager at different times when life's been kind of crappy. I was ran a comic shop when the power went out for many, many days in Seattle, and people didn't have heat in a lot of cases. And I remember I showed up. I brought food to the comic shop for people who I had somebody who was sleeping in the comic shop because their home was cold and the pipes burst and they didn't have anywhere to go, so they slept there. And I brought them food, and I was scheduled to go out of town with my family, and I stayed in because I felt it would be a lousy thing to do to leave people who work for me behind. It just felt like a crap thing to do. Even though I don't control the weather, I still felt like the right thing to do was to stick around. I guess I believe in the the captain goes down with the ship mentality. That's how it's supposed to be. If you're a leader job is tough. Leader job also gets paid a lot more, so you make more money, but you also sometimes have a bad time. It's kind of how it goes. Responsibility. It's weird. Something like about when you have power, there's some responsibility. I don't know. There's some kind of combination there. Anyway, that's how I feel. Anyway, yeah, Ted Cruz is a dumbass, and likes to hear himself talk. So anyway, I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, he's one to talk. Sure, whatever you say. Anyway. But humor in comics. Have we reached a point where you really can't do it anymore? I mean, I don't want to live in that world, but it feels kind of like we're almost in that world. It feels like we're at a place where humor is just not okay. because a lot of humor is political, meaning, it's you want to make jokes about things that are topical. And in today's world, politics equals everything. Every single facet of human life equals politics, according to some. Not me, because I think that's insane, but whatever. But if you're subscribing to this, then a lot of humor is by its nature going to be political, and a lot of humor is going to touch on current events. And if current events are, political in nature, then that's what we've got. But what are you supposed to do if humor is now so touchy of a subject that you can't make jokes you can't do these parodies. I read some of the what the books, and there's a lot of jokes in there that absolutely would get Marvel canceled, no doubt about it. People will I mean, it's just it's racist, it's offensive, it's insulting. I mean, just they're making jokes in this comic. So what the was something that was around in the late 80s, I think. I think I have that time frame right. And it was a Marvel parody magazine. And they would basically have the characters, Wolverine or whoever. They would have these basic characters, and they would parody the stories. You had like a Punisher that was like, I don't know, just shooting everyone, but also into flowers. And I think what was weird is he had a female Wolverine in that comic, like a clone of Wolverine that was a woman. And the joke was kind of like, we at Marvel have run out of ideas, which is really ahead of its time. But you had some stuff there. It wasn't always the best humor. A lot of it was kind of eye rolling humor, but it was fine. But you could not print that comic today. You absolutely couldn't. I mean, they were making jokes about boobs. They were making jokes about they're making jokes about everything. They're making jokes about sexist stuff. They're making it. There's no way they're making jokes about other countries, and all of that stuff would be deeply offensive if you tried to do it today. But what's the alternative? No humor? Jokes about Trump being MODOK? I mean, it feels like we haven't, we're not in a place where things are funny in comics. And that's not to say that the PC police is out here and you can't do jokes with anything. I mean, obviously there's TV and movies do humor, but comics feels like so far up its own ass sometimes that it cannot even do a lighthearted joke without worrying that like a Twitter mob is going to descend on the entire thing and an attack. It's like it's just impossible to be fun. The thing about humor is this: when you tell a joke, you have to be okay with the fact that joke may not land well. It may be a bad joke. It may not hit the jokes are in many cases humor is about timing. And you may think you're reading the room correctly, but you're not, and the timing turns out to be wrong. And then, you're in bad shape. If you're scared to tell the joke in the first place, you're definitely not getting anywhere. And to me, that's where a lot of comics are at right now, where they can't even play ball. They can't even, try and tell the joke, because it's too dangerous. It's too sensitive. If they get it wrong, it's over. So it's better just to tell very, very benign, like non-jokes, quippy jokes, like Marvel Universe type, MCU type jokes, or they're going to, rest on very safe, kind of dumb parody things like, Trump is MODOK, which isn't really even a joke. I mean, I think you can make fun of Trump very effectively in many ways, and people have. I think that making him MODOK is like the lowest form of, you're not stretching yourself. I'll put it that way. But what do you think? Is humor just dead at this point? Is it impossible? Can you just not do it? It's going to bother people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you do humor these days in comics? And thanks for listening.